Let's dig a little bit more into Qualcomm specifically now, though, because those shares, as I mentioned, are climbing higher today after giving an upbeat outlook for sales and profit in the current quarter, and also signaling a rebound in that smartphone segment, particularly in China. The chipmaker's phone sales in that country surging 40% in the first half of the year. Akash Palkhiwala, Qualcomm CFO and COO, is joining me right now. Akash, it's great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So I want to jump right into smartphones. That is still your biggest line of business here. That 40% increase in the first half of the year from chips there in China, definitely catching some attention. Chips overall for smartphones for you guys, though, still not seeing a huge recovery. When are we going to see that recovery, and what is it going to look like? What's the magnitude going to be?
Yeah, I think we're very happy with what's happening in the smartphone market for us. If you look at the Android market, we've seen this tremendous mix shift towards more premium devices, which is a great trend for us. We are very strong at the top end of the market, where we make chips that lead on performance across the board, on processing, on connectivity, and on AI. And so we're seeing the benefit of that show up in our numbers, and we're very happy about that. As we also look forward, we're seeing the initial steps of having Gen AI happening on devices. We've talked a lot about Gen AI in cloud, but our vision is that eventually, just like processing happens on cloud and devices, Gen AI is also going to happen on cloud and devices. And so we're seeing the first steps of that happen in phones. We're going to start seeing that happen in PCs, in automotive, in IoT. So it's a very broad trend for us, and we're happy to see that take off in our favor.
How eventually, Akash? I think that's what a lot of people are trying to get their arms around. And I don't know if you heard what I was talking about earlier with some of the other semiconductor makers. We're seeing this kind of uneven end market demand and AI integration. So when it comes to smartphones, when are we really going to start to see a tipping point, if you will, where there is going to be more AI functionality on the device itself?
So I think in terms of integration within hardware, we've seen a lot of that come through already. We're going to announce a new chip later this year, Snapdragon 8 Gen 4, that will add a lot more capabilities versus what we have in the last generation. And so we're excited about that. But the use cases, you saw phones launch earlier in the year with a certain number of use cases come through. And I think Samsung talked about the success and the adoption of those features on their devices in their earnings a couple weeks ago. I think you're going to see that happen across the board later this year in premium devices. And then next year, you'll see the same trend happen in mid and low tier devices as well. So we're at the front end of, I'd say, a multi-year trend, and we're excited about what the devices can do with this capability. And there is an upside opportunity for us if this drives an upgrade cycle in smartphones.
Akash, I want to dig a little bit more as well into different types of smartphones and where we are seeing demand and not seeing demand. It seems like, reading through from your results, that a lot of the demand, the China demand, for example, is coming from Android-powered devices. What can we extrapolate there versus iOS-powered devices?
Well, I think generally the trend is that there's more demand for devices at the premium tier. And the mix of devices across tiers is moving up. And that's, as I said earlier, in our favor. And that's a trend that holds across the market. The second trend, as I said, is Gen AI being adopted into the devices. And really, it's not just about smartphones, right? When we talk about Gen AI adoption and this AI Hub product that we've come out with, which allows people who are making devices and applications quickly adopt on-device AI on our chips, that's something that extends to PCs, and we have a new set of PC chips coming out shortly and new devices coming out shortly. It will extend to our automotive products and then also to our IoT products. So it's a broad trend for us. And as Cristiano outlined on the call, our priority is to focus on diversification and growth. And the place we are at in terms of our technology portfolio allows us to do that.
And where are you in terms of that diversification journey, right? I mean, it's interesting that we're having this conversation now because I know you guys have been building up your auto business and it did well in the quarter. IoT, Internet of Things, did less well. But it's really the smartphone business that surprised on the upside. And that's the business that you're trying to get less reliant on, right?
Well, I think the general strategy of the company has been to take the technology that we've created for smartphones and apply it to all other edge devices, right? And if you look at our automotive numbers, what we announced this quarter is the design win pipeline is now up to 45 billion. This was approximately 18 months ago, it was 30 billion, and that's a very, very significant increase. And within that, a third of the design win pipeline is being driven by ADAS, which is obviously a very important market going forward. And we've become one of the key technology suppliers on ADAS. So we're excited about that. Julie, if I also step back and give you kind of a report card on how we've done on diversification, we started with RF front end a few years ago, and we've become one of the leaders there. Automotive, now we've become one of the leaders. As we look forward, we have this opportunity in AI PCs as the transition in the PC happens to devices that people are going to interact with differently, and it's going to be AI first. We think there's a tremendous opportunity for us. And then we're also seeing the same trend happen in industrial devices. What used to be microcontroller-based devices is moving to microprocessors. It's moving to AI, and that plays to our strengths. So we're excited about that as well.
Akash, just a sort of very big picture zoomed out question here. A year from now, what percentage of the chips you're selling will have some sort of AI capability versus now?
I'd say pretty much every chip that we make going forward is going to have a significant amount of on-device AI capability. And if you think about on-device AI, it has tremendous advantages. First of all, it allows you to do things that you can't do in the cloud that are more specific to the user while maintaining security and privacy. The latency of those applications is very fast because it is happening on the device. You don't need to go to the cloud. From a cost perspective, in some ways it's free because once you purchase the device, you're using the capability that's dormant in the device to do AI versus going back to the cloud. And we understand how expensive it is to do some of these use cases in the cloud for app developers. So we're excited about what on-device Gen AI means across all these devices.
Akash, interesting stuff. Great to see you. Thank you so much.
Great to be here. Thank you very much.